Ladies and gentlemen, there's lights in the sky, correct? Many of you have seen these lights moving about at night, sometimes in the day. But, many of you have actually seen these lights shoot other things that are flying around, I'll say it, drones, out from amongst their midst. Well, let us not be distracted. Let us stay in the Word and understand. So, on today's episode, this is Let There Be Light. My name is Brian. We shall be going over a few verses. And keep in mind, there's fire in the sky. Let's go to Genesis, first page of the book. Hope you're doing well. Verse 14. And Elohim said, "Let lights come to be in the expanse of heavens, and separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and appointed times." So we're living in a crazy point in the history of the world with technology. How easily is it to spread a word these days to somebody far, far away? Dare I say, this word will be preached to all the inhabited earth. Let's go to, let's keep on the lights in the sky. Let's go to Ezekiel. You know what? I'm going to read it out of this guy for a second. If I can find it. Ezekiel, there we go. Now it came to pass in the 13th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Kavar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw a vision of Elohim. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of captivity, the word of Yahweh came expressingly unto Ezekiel, the priest, the son of Bazi, in the land of Kazdim, by the river Kavar, and the hand of Yahweh was there upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire unfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. You know what? I hope we can get some pictures up in this joint. Can we figure that one out? Oh, look at that. Okay, cool. Let's keep that going there, and let's keep on the text here. Also, out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man, and everyone had 4 faces, and everyone had 4 wings, and their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. And they had the hands of a man under their wings, on their four sides, and they four had their faces and their wings, and their wings were joined one to another, and they turned not when they went, and they went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they four had the face of a man, and the face of a lion on the right side, and they four had the face of an ox on the left side, and they four also had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings to every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. And they went, every one, straight forward. Whither the Ruach was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the 4 living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire. And the likeness and appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flashing of light. Interesting stuff. Let's keep going. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one Ophan upon the earth by the living creatures with his 4 faces, the appearance of the Ophinim, and their work was like unto the color of beryl. And they 4 had one likeness, and their appearance and their works was as it were an Ophan in the middle of an Ophan. When they went up their 4 sides, and they turned not when they went. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about them. And when the living creatures went, the Ophinim went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the Ophinim were lifted up. Whether ever so the Ruach was to go, they went. Thither was their Ruach to go, and the Ophinim were lifted up over amongst them. And the Ruach of the 4 living creatures was in the Ophinim. And when those went, these went. And when those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the Ophinim were lifted up over against them. For the Ruach of the living creatures was in the Ophinim. And the likeness of the expanse upon the heads of the living creatures was like the color of the terrible crystal. Did that say terrible? It said terrible. The terrible crystal, stretched forth over their heads above. And under the expanse, or some would like to say a firmament, were their wings straight, and one towards the other. The every one had 2. This book has some interesting language in it, by the way. Pardon me if I stumble some. Everyone had 2, which covered on this side, and everyone had 2, which covered on that side, the side of their bodies. And when they went, I heard the terrible noise of their wings, like the great noise of water, as the voice of El Shaddai, the voice of speech, as the noise of a host. When they stood, they let down their wings, and there was a voice from the expanse that was over their heads. And when they stood and had let down their wings, and above the expanse was over their heads was like the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness of the appearance of a man above upon it. And I saw the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it. From the appearance of his loins even upward, the appearance of his loins even downward, I saw it were the appearance of fire. And it had brightness round about, and the appearance of the bow that is in the clouds in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. So you get a bit of green, and blue, and red, and yellow, and so on. Violet, indigo. This was the appearance and the likeness of the glory of Yahweh. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of the one that spoke. Well, that's beautiful. So we get some appearances of orbs, glowing, burning brass, spinning wheels, and eyes. You know, let's go over to chapter 10, same book, Ezekiel. Oh, I'm sure there's... You know, it's all there. Okay. Then I looked, and behold, in the expanse that was above the head of the cherubium, there appeared over them, as it were a sapphire stone, as the appearance of the likeness of a throne. And he spoke unto the man clothed with linen, and said, Go in between the wheels, even under the cherubium, and fill your hand with coals of fire from between the cherubium, and scatter them over the city. And he went in my sight. Now the cherubium stood on the right side of the house, when the man went in, and the clouds filled the inner court. And then the glory of Yahweh went up from the cherubium and stood over the threshold of the house, and the house was filled with the cloud, and the court was full of the brightness of Yahweh's glory. And the sound of the cherubium wings were heard under the... You know, can we get a picture again, please? Thank you. Thank you very much. And the sound of the cherubium's wings were heard, even to the outer court, as the voice of El Shaddai when he speaks. And it came to pass that when he had commanded, the man clothed with linen, saying, Take fire from between the wheels, from between the cherubium. Then he went in and stood beside the Ophinim. And one cherubium stretched forth his hand from between the cherubium unto the fire that was between the cherubium, and took thereof, and put it in the hands of him that was clothed with linen, and took it, and went out. And there appeared in the cherubium the form of a man under their wings. And when I looked, behold, the 4 Ophinim by the cherubium, one Ophin by one cherub, and another Ophin by another cherub. And the appearance of the Ophinim was of the color of beryl stone. And for their appearance, they 4 had one likeness, as if one Ophin had been in the midst of an Ophin. And when they went upon their four sides, and they turned not as they went, but to the place whither the head looked, they followed it, and they turned not as they went, and their whole body, and their backs, and their hands, and their wings, and the Ophinim were full of eyes round about, even the Ophinim that they four had. Well, that's wonderful. I think I'm going to stop there. And we shall move on to Matthew. Matthew 24. That is quite the imagery. Correct? Pardon me while I flip. Hope you're doing well out there today. Hope you're not scared. We're not to be fearful. Father has us. Let's turn to Matthew 24, 4. And I shall read. And he answered them, saying to them, take heed that no one leads you astray. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and they shall lead many astray. And you shall begin to hear of fightings and reports of fightings. See that you are not troubled, for these have to take place, but the end is not yet. See, in the last days, a time to come, he would say that these events would start unfolding. For nation shall rise against nation, and reign against reign, and there shall be scarcities of food, and deadly diseases, and earthquakes in places. And all these are only the beginning of birth pains. Then they shall deliver you up to affliction and kill you, and you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many shall stumble, and they shall deliver up one another, and shall hate, murder one another. And many false prophets shall rise up and lead many astray. And because of the increase of lawlessness, the love of many shall become cold. But he who have endured to the end shall be saved. And this good news of the reign shall be proclaimed in all the world as a witness to all the nations. And then the end shall come. Let's move forward a bit. Let's go over to 29. Same chapter. And immediately after this distress of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give its light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then the sign of the Son of Adam shall appear in the heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Son of Adam coming in the clouds from the heavens with much power, much esteem And he shall send his messengers with a great sounding trumpet, and they shall gather his chosen from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. It's beautiful. Can we let's get a second witness, please. Not that I'm doubting any of that. But on the mouth of two or more witnesses, the truth shall be established. Luke 21. 8. And he said, "See that you are not led astray, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am, and the time is near. Do not go after them. But when you hear of fightings and unrest, do not be alarmed, for these have to take place first. But the end is not immediate." Then he said to them, "Nation shall rise against nation, and reign against reign, and there shall be great earthquakes in various places, and scarcities of food, and deadly diseases. And there shall be horrors, and great signs from heaven. But before all this, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the congregations and prisons, being brought before sovereigns and rulers for my name's sake. And it shall turn out to you for a witness. Therefore resolve in your hearts not to premeditate on what to answer, for I shall give you a mouth of wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to refute or resist." It's beautiful. Let's go move over again. 32. "Truly, I say to you, this generation shall by no means pass away, till all shall take place. The heavens and earth shall pass away, but my words shall by no means pass away. And take heed to yourselves, lest your hearts be weighed down by gluttony and drunkenness and worries of this life. And that day come upon you suddenly. For it shall come as a snare on all those dwelling on the face of the earth. Watch then at all times, and pray that you be counted worthy to escape all that is about to take place, to stand before the Son of Adam, our righteous judge." Noticed a few lines back it said, what am I doing here? Putting that there. Signs in the sky, in the heavens, more correctly. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not to be distracted. If we stay in His Word, we shall know. Not to know the day or the hour, but definitely the season. Okay, last little bit. I really want to read Revelation 12. I pray today baruchs you, blesses you, and may our Father's love reside in you. Through the words of the Yahshua of Israel, the Messiah, HaMashiach. And a great sign was seen in the heaven. A woman, clad with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head was a crown of 12 stars. And being pregnant, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. And another sign was seen in the heaven, and see, a great fiery dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns on his heads. And his tail draws 1/3 of the stars of the heaven and throws them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, who was about to give birth, to devour her and her child as soon as it was born. And she bore a son, a male, who was to shepherd all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught away up to Elohim and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by Elohim to be nourished there 1,260 days. And there came to be fighting in the heaven. Michael and his messengers fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his messengers fought back. But they were not strong enough, nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. And the great dragon was thrown out, that serpent of old called the devil, Satan, who leads all the world astray. He was thrown to the earth, and his messengers were thrown out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in the heavens, "Now I have come, the deliverance and the power and the reign of Elohim and the authority of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brothers, who accused them before our Elohim day and night, has been thrown down. And they overcome him because of the blood of the Lamb, and because of the war, of their witness, and they did not love their lives to death. Because of this rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. Woe to the earth and to the sea, because the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, knowing that he has just a little time." And when the dragon saw that he had been thrown to the earth, he persecuted the woman who had given birth to the male. And the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle to fly into the wilderness to her place where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the presence of the serpent. And out of his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river after the woman, to cause her to be swept away by the river. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the river which the dragon had spewed out of its mouth. And the dragon was enraged, and he went to fight with the remnant of her seed, those guarding the commandments of Elohim and possessing the witness of their Messiah. Do not be distracted. Much love. This is Let There Be Light. My name's Brian. See you soon.